Hello friends, we've gotten to the end of True Detective Season 4. We will be discussing and spoiling all things Episode 6. I just want to apologize for everyone out there because there will be profanity. So hide your kids because it's going to fly. Because this last episode was a doozy. So close your ears because it's going to happen. So apologies in advance. So we'll go around the room, introduce everyone. And as you introduce yourself, I would like for you to find one word to describe the season for you. So as you introduce yourself, just sum up the season in one word. So who wants to go first?
Nobody.
Not all at once.
I'm just trying to think of the first word.
I'll go first. Okay, so my name is Chris One, sometimes YouTuber, sometimes appear on other people's channels. And the one word I will use, I have a feeling this may be controversial, is satisfied. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. It's good to
Chris,
have.
really? I thought all the episodes we've been going in, you've been like really, and now you're saying satisfied.
I know. I'm surprised.
We'll get into it. Yeah.
Okay, who wants to go second?
I'll go, because I found my word that I want to use then. So I'm Anthony Self. I'm on the Page Tuning forums. I've got a YouTube channel called Horrible. The word I would use would be misaligned.
It's a good one. So we're done to Alex or Jared. Who wants to go first?
I can go next. My name's Alex. I want to be a writer at some point in my life. And I'm going to go with meh.
Meh. Okay. That's fair. And Jared?
I am Jared. I had the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel and occasionally post thoughts on page chewing. And I was going to say something and then it left my head. I would say okay.
Okay. I'm going to use a soundbite for mine, which is this.
Oh no! You thought it was a big old failure, huh?
I do.
Okay.
When I first finished the episode, I thought, well, okay, I guess. But the more I think about it, the more it pisses me off. The more angry I get. And it's not silly to be angry about a TV show, but we'll get into it. So...
You can be angry, Steve. We can all be angry. It's fine.
Sure, sure.
I think this is going to be a very divisive finale for a lot of people. I think a lot of people came into this thinking, is this going to be supernatural? Is this going to be a thriller? Is this going to be like a cop show, like the True Detectives that we've seen in the past? And on all accounts, it, I think, satisfies a certain nugget from one section. It satisfies a certain nugget from another section. We knew, come on, we all knew this. I think we said in like the first or second episode that of this discussion podcast that it was never going to satisfy it wasn't going to tickle you in all the places that you wanted it to tickle you, you know. We knew that. But also at the same time, I think the resolution is, does it leave you thinking, okay, I wanted more supernatural? Does it leave you thinking, do I want more thriller-esque Scardy Noir sort of thing? Like, you know, it's that kind of thing for me, is that I think they were too on the fence with certain things, and that's what inevitably let it down a little bit. The finale did bring a lot of things, but I think in this episode it was just throwing, like we said in the last one, it just threw too much of exposition in the last. It was a final dump of this happened, that happened for this reason, this reason. There's a lot of plot holes, yes. There's a lot of different things that were like, are we just going to leave this to the supernatural? Sure, why not? Leave it there. So, yeah.
Here's a really controversial statement. Season 1's great and all. The last episode is poor in the first series of season 1. Its resolution is not good at all. They had set that up far better. I think this is an infinitely better solution to this. While the series is nowhere near as good overall, like it's not even the same hemisphere, it did a better job of wrapping this up successfully. And maybe it is to do with expectation, because as you alluded to two weeks ago, Tony, I was nearly stopping watching at a certain point.
Yeah,
and,
I thought you were like anti True Detective series 4 for a long time, and now you've flipped, you've turned.
I think the word I use is satisfied, right? It's not like I'm annihilated about it because I think it is not. I think it's more akin to a Reacher season 2, if you know what I mean. It's an entertaining show now. It is not the highbrow entertainment that True Detective purports to be. It has some ridiculous elements. It does not suit anymore this kind of week by week discussion, because everybody who's been angry about this show has been breaking it apart bit by bit, gets to the end, and of course it doesn't quite work.
You, for me, have just summed it up there, Chris. What you said is this series has reached beyond its measures. I think I know we couldn't put that into one word, and I'm sure the more intellectual of you will be able to kind of do that for me, but this series, that's how you've just summarized it for me perfectly. This series has reached beyond its measures in that respect. They were trying to go for a lot of different themes, a lot of different symbolism, a lot of different this, a lot of different that, but it was just too many ingredients in the pot for me.
I think you're right. I think the series got its feet cut out from under it just by, it's only 6 episodes. And how can you start out with this this grand storyline in the first episode there, and then expect to and have all these characters mixed in, and then expect to resolve that in a mere 6 episodes? They threw a whole bunch of stuff at you, and then I don't know if it was budget cuts or what have you, but something had to have happened to say, all right, it's only going to be 6 episodes. You guys got to wrap this up. And it just was. I don't feel they had the time to do it, and I also didn't like some of the choices they made in the way they presented the episodes, because I thought there was some parts of it that was actually kind of slow, and I was like, oh, you could have been doing something else to wrap up some other storylines instead of just having this lengthy procession where it was a little bit boring in especially in 4 and 5, and so there was a lot that potential that got undercut somehow.
Alex, what do you think?
I think the death of the scientist, while I'm on board with the whole revenge idea, the way that the women actually came about this whole revenge scheme seemed incredibly flimsy to me. I knocked my bucket over, I found a trapdoor, they must have murdered Annie. Come on. That's a little bit flimsy.
Yeah, that was. I think didn't I say in the last episode or the episode before that there was going to be an Agatha Christie murder on the Orient Express?
Yeah,
I called it. So I called one thing out of this whole series. I've called one thing, that it was like everyone coming in and like, you know. But yeah, no, I agree with Alex. I think the whole, you know, we've seen we bucket of water, very flimsy. There's a lot of contrived plot elements in this whole series, not just that one bit, but I'm sure if we kind of broke down a lot of like Peter, for example, the only reason why he's at the house when he kills his father is a plot contrivance. His wife is a plot contrivance. Let's be honest, you know, the whole fact that, you know, she may, what is her role? Her role is to be henpecking him. He's dealing with a murder case. Like, no one seems to... This really annoys me. No one seems to appreciate the fact that they're dealing with this really big murder case. And throughout the whole thing, Peter's wife is like, you're out again? Really? And it's like, yeah, I am, because I'm dealing with this big murder case. So I think it was just the plot contrivance was that he had to be out of the house. He had to be at Danver's place so that he could be in that situation when Hank turns up so he could kill him. there's a lot of that happens throughout this whole series that we've seen so far. That's just one minutia of the little things that are going on throughout the series. There's a lot of good things that happen as well, but yeah, I'm focusing on the negative so I can pump myself up for the positive that's going to come through.
So his wife, I read in an interview with Issa Lopez, who wrote the season, that his wife knew what had happened, so she was trying to distract Peter from solving the case. How would you have known that other than reading an interview after the fact? I don't know. But she knew all along, so she was trying to distract him and kind of, like, you know, just kind of give him enough shit so he wouldn't go and solve the case. So that was all just to have him there. I think what bothers me the most is, okay, so the lab was on the verge of this revolutionary medical breakthrough that could have potentially cured cancer and cured all these really awful diseases that millions, maybe billions of people are suffering from. And this little town, this little village, I'm sorry, but if the little town of Ennis is in the way of curing cancer, hey, people of Ennis, here's some money, go buy a house like in fucking Anchorage or something, and let us cure cancer. So they're on the verge of this breakthrough, and they stop them, and no one seems to care. Like, these two cops are like, yeah, like, sure, you did the revenge thing, and they were polluting your water, and they did all this awful stuff. They're about to cure cancer and all these really bad diseases, but don't worry about it. It was an avalanche or whatever. It was a snowstorm. They were on the verge of like this revolutionary thing, and it's all lost because a group of a few hundred people put it in scale. It's just like, it makes no goddamn sense. Like, get out of the way and let them fucking cure cancer. Like, they knew that they were polluting, the whole thing about polluting the permafrost to make it easier to core. That's dumb anyway. But if they explain to you, look, we're polluting the area because we're about to cure cancer. If they told me that, I'd be like, give me some money and I'll get out of here and I'll go buy a house somewhere else. You guys do your thing and I'll see you later.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go.
They needed a better PR person. They needed a real PR in Ennis needs to be.
Well, not only that, but they could
higher.
They just let the mining company do it, rather than, they weren't polluting it themselves. They were like, oh, the mining company's polluting this, so let's just let them keep doing that, instead of having a controlled condition where they, you know, like scientists do, where they confine it and pollute it themselves. There's all sorts of, yeah, you're right. The logic there does not add up at all. Now that you brought that up, I didn't even think about that.
Another thing is, like, if I would have been the person to stumble upon the hatch, and if I would have gotten there and I saw what their research was, I would have no idea what they're doing because I'm an idiot, and I'm not a scientist. Like, I look like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. So some random, like, cleaning lady is gonna go down there and, like, decipher, oh, they're polluting the water. Like, how the fuck do you know? Like, how does this make any sense for you to know, like, some random person crawl in a hatch and be able to decipher all these things that are wrong? It's so ridiculous.
It was a little bit of a Deus Ex Machina sort of thing with what kind of grinded my gears a little bit was the fact that it was these women who we've only seen like once or twice in the whole series. They weren't even character. Like, if the woman when she goes, oh, that's just a story. It's just a story. It's like, if you'd seen her more than once, if she was like a Rose type of character, then fair enough, I could get behind it 100%. But because we've only seen her like once fleetingly or twice fleetingly, It was like, oh man, really? I mean, they tried to make out this very, like, you know, all the Indigenous women come together and all this, and it's like, yeah, because she killed NEK and stuff. But exactly what you said there, Steve. It's like the lesser of two evils, all right? It's like you've got this company that on the cusp. I mean, I think even Clark says, we cracked it. We're there. We know what we're doing. Let's be honest with ourselves. If not one of us in this group discussion, or one of us knows someone who's been affected by cancer, if you could turn around and go like, hey, we've got this miracle cure that will cure cancer, that will be like, I mean, I'm not entirely saying that's what they don't really say what the miracle thing is, right? But if it is that big, then come on. It's the lesser of two evils. It's like exactly what you said. I don't know why the would you get the mayor or whatever could turn around and say, like, look, this is what's happening. Everyone in this town is moving out, because if such a thing of this scale, we will get the president involved, and he will come down and he will basically buy everyone out of this town. But then you don't have tension. That's what creates the program. I get it in that respect, in the storytelling sense, in the mystery sort of sense. But it's so extreme that you're sitting there left thinking,
yeah. Well, if they would have came back, like they did the interviews, what was it, 6 months later or something like that? If they would have came back at that point and said, hey, the U.S. government's moving in and moving everybody out and doing this, at least that would have been some sort of resolution to that. But Chris, you got your hatch.
I love... Yeah.
I got my hatch, you know. I was thinking there's a goddamn hatch here. And you know what? I kind of went, oh, cool, a hatch. What happened? And then I
knew that. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, he's got his hatch.
I got the hatch. Then I was like, how the fuck did they not find the hatch to pull this place apart? But anyway, you know, look, I hate to be the person with the alternative view here, but let's think about it from the other side. There's a couple of points. I will admit that I listened to an interview with Jodie Foster today, actually, about it, when she was talking about it, and she was talking about what she thought of the script. And the point of the end with the women was the fact that the women were there actually a lot of the time. They were in the background, they were bystanders on a lot of scenes in a lot of places, and nobody paid attention to them. Nobody gave them the credence as they weren't important in the town, and yet they were watching everything. I think that's the kind of point of that. But to the point of the cancer thing, this was just a research facility in scientists. Scientists always say they're that close to whatever, right? And I think the bigger point is they viciously, like a pack of wolves, murdered that woman. Like, vicious, like 54 times they stabbed her. And I think the bigger point is, at what point is it okay to do something heinous for the greater good? And where do you stop it? Like, what is the line for people? If you're a big corporation or otherwise, you can talk about the way capitalism's run away with itself over the past 10 years, and especially since the pandemic. Was all that okay because we got a cure for vaccines and all the rest of it? That we're just going to, like, I think the bigger point about that is, just in a microcosm or a real small bit, is that okay? Was that okay?
I don't know, man. I'm still sticking with my, look, you've got the cure for cancer.
But they don't.
What's one dead body?
But they don't have the cure for cancer. This is the point. They don't, because if they had the cure for cancer, then they'd have been out of there. They are just scientists going, oh, we were on the verge of something big. They didn't actually have anything. If they had anything, the president would have been there. They didn't have anything tangible. It was all
Clark was pretty crazy by the time that happened, sort of thing. I think all right. Looking on that kind of, in that respect, if it's the kind of case that Clark had just gone full blown crazy, you know, I get it, I understand.
But I
also
accept
at the
the
same time,
dilemma here.
Did have it. He said they cracked it though.
Yeah.
Time is flat, Chris. Time is flat.
Oh my God,
he did look like he cracked. Okay, that's damn sure. Yeah. But I think the point is, like, you can sit on both sides of the fence here, like, and say what they did was right or wrong. They should have let it go or otherwise. But I think the purpose of any kind of conversation here is just kind of say, right, well, if they'd murdered 20 women, would that have been okay? If it had been 5, and they, I mean, the scene where they actually killed her was right in keeping with everything else. It was disturbing, the way they were almost feral, the way they said on her, and like, again, that idea of acceptable losses. I don't think there's such a thing anymore. The point about them turning up in the hatch and going, oh, they must have all killed. How the fuck did they all know that they all killed anyway? Like, it was all of them. Like, how'd you know? It was they pulled the one thing, the starship. Oh, this is the murder weapon. Like, all that stuff's properly ludicrous. Like, there's no doubt about it. That's pure, like, just close your eyes for about 15 seconds here while you try to forget all of that kind of stuff. The spilt them off bucket again. If they were watching that closely, whatever, you know, they would have known. All that stuff's completely preposterous. But I mean, it was alright. Especially like the way they done it with Clark actually hiding himself underneath, and you did think it was supernatural at that stage. When the banging's going on above him, and it's like, what the hell is actually going on above the hatch, and he's holding the hatch closed. I thought that was really cleverly done, because I was like, oh shit, they actually are going to go supernatural with this shit. This is going to be a fucking prehistoric monsters just appeared. This is amazing.
Just the cleaning ladies.
So, just the cleaners.
Why go supernatural at all? What did it add? What did any of the spiral stuff add? What did any of the season 1 stuff add? What did and I read also in these interviews with the writers that HBO wanted her to do 8 to 10 episodes. She said, "No, I want 6."
Jeez.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, what did it add? I think we have talked about this before with certain franchises. You slap on a franchise name. I think you call True Detective kind of a franchise. You have certain expectations. This really wasn't a True Detective entry, really. Like it could have been its own. It could have just been called Night Country, and remove all that stuff from season 1, and I think we would have felt differently about it.
What was the when they were looking up in the lab, and you saw the spiral in like the ice? What was in the ice that we were seeing?
Looked like bones.
I would assume a prehistoric monster of some sort. Yeah.
I think it was seal or whale bones or something.
I wasn't sure. I couldn't tell.
Whalebone's usually what they're talking about. Yeah.
You see, the theory that I have about that is, if we're leaning towards the supernatural, which this series has done, then one could argue that Ennis in itself has this almost microcosm of evil, okay? And if we're going with the whole spiral with the Tuttles, even though the Tuttle thing was a red herring, nothing to do with Tuttles, okay? But if you all right, I'm putting my suspension of disbelief even further than I need to in this. But this is where I'm thinking, like, there's a lot of times where we see certain characters, and I say certain characters because Navarro is one of them that sees who traipses along the lines of the ethereal world, if you will, the reality world and the supernatural world. She's seen visions, okay? Julie is the same. Her mum was obviously the same. Rose is the same. So there are characters in this series that obviously see either dead people, ghosts, whatever you will. If you want to kind of put that feeling out there that the spiral is some kind of supernatural entity that's below the ice in the night country, because we haven't really still established what the night country is, but if you do that kind of thing where you have this fossilized being, this Cthulhu type monster, okay, that's under the ice, then you could argue that this place in Ennis, this particular microcosm, is this kind of weird fabric, or this point in the world where there's a fabric of reality that gets distorted, where it's like, now you see the 5th dimension, now you can see potentially ghost people, because we have that one point as well, and I know this may come to contention with some of my people here, but when Navarro sees Clark, and we see him doing the shudder thing, and when he says she's awake, do you think that was her seeing him as a ghost in a kind of weird retrospective time-wise 5th dimension? Because he had died then before she comes back and sees him. Or do you think this is bad writing? They needed to kind of, from the first episode, they needed to kind of explain why he shuddered and a goose stepped over his grave, and then he turned around and said she's awake.
Okay, so I think that the whole time as a flat circle thing, I think that they were, like you said, I think, Tony, like you mentioned, I think they were trying to use like this Lovecraftian thing where everything is happening all at one time and time is overlapping. That's not what the whole thing was with time as a flat circle. That's not, that was a whole, that whole section of season 1, that was not what that was about. but I think they tried to twist it into this other thing where time was overlapping, and they're seeing things that have happened previously now that were kind of overlapping in time. I don't know why they did it. Just did not fit at all. It just felt way out of left field. Didn't make any sense other than to shoehorn it in and to try to like, oh, I remember that from season 1. Just didn't make any sense. And then the whole Tuttle thing, what made the Tuttles scary was that it was tucked away in like this southern bayou town, like these little small towns. They preyed upon people. They were like in the shadows. That's what made them scary, is that they were small scale. They were kind of tucked away. They were this like this secretive thing in like these small towns. That's what made them scary. If they're a big corporation that's like Tuttle United, they're not as scary anymore. What made them scary is that they were small and they were organized and they were preying upon these people in secret. They weren't out in public gobbling up companies, buying mining companies. It totally. And I try to not let my love of season 1 affect my reaction with this season, but it just did not need to be there. I'll be quiet now.
No, I agree. I totally agree. I don't think the Tuttles needed to be referenced in this. I don't think the whole symbology of the spiral needed to be in this. Exactly what you said. You know what I would have preferred is a series that was about scientists in a research center that died mysteriously, and then Danvers and Navarro come in to find out what happened. Yeah. And I would have preferred it if we got to know each of the scientists individually, even post-mortem sort of thing. We find out who they were, we find out more about them, and then through that, clues come about, and then we get to find out more about what happened.
Yeah, a few more episodes.
Yeah.
And did anybody else think it was convenient that they fell through the ice in order to find the lab?
Oh, yeah.
Like 20 feet away from the lab? Like they didn't notice that the lab is like 50 yards that way? Like, I think a few of you called it like that the caves were connected to the lab somehow. Yeah. But the lab is like, it was right there.
Well, it was underground, but it's just like they just, oh, okay, we fell through the ice, we found the lab. Then they did a little bit of detective work inside, but just the fact that it was handed to them like that. You mentioned Deus Ex Machina earlier. There's another one.
There was no detective
There's
work.
some theories that I've been reading that the falling through the ice and everything, it's like the 7 circles of hell. Like the whole series has been like a kind of very Dante's Inferno type element to it. I think it's reaching beyond its means.
I think that's a reach, certainly. A couple of things did occur to me through it. So, Navarro's visions. Do you think it was actually tied to their piercings? So her family had piercings. The pollutants mixing in her mouth and in her mouth were drinking water with her piercings, and her sister had them as well. I think that might have been why their visions were enhanced. That was one of the things, and there was in the thing. Now, maybe I just missed it beforehand. There was one actual revelation. I went, what the hell? Her stepdaughter? There's Wheeler's kid? That was genuinely... What?
Was that revealed? Because that
though?
was only 7 years ago, and Lee is a lot older than 7.
Because we heard the baby crying in the background.
Yeah, I wonder where that baby... Because I don't know who that baby is.
Because that was
they didn't really explain, because it was 7 to 8 years ago. And Leah's she's like a teenager.
Or was it 7 years ago? I'm trying to... The Annie Kovac murder was 7 years ago.
Was preceded, and then the Wheeler thing. I thought that's what that was telling, because then it was like, well, why else would you show the baby crying? Because they don't... We all just assume that the stepdaughter's from her first marriage, but there's nothing to indicate that at all. Yet we get this crying baby. I thought that was a pretty interesting... And especially if Annie's the mother or otherwise, the girl that was the murdered person, from Wheeler that went, she was of Indian descent. And we never questioned that at the time, that Indian descent with Wheeler all that other stuff. So if they had a kid, their kid would almost certainly have the inheritance of some sort. I thought that I can't think of any other reason why you would have had the baby crying at the end of that. It's like literally the end of that scene was the last like flash, and then it cuts away. Doing that. I also think the spiral thing, like, it is dumb that they even tied it to season 1. But I think with the cutting of the orange, I think they just kind of said, like, spirals naturally occur in nature. It just fucking happens. Like, you just see them everywhere if you're looking for them, or otherwise you just see them. I mean, it was a bit ham-fisted. There's no doubt about it. But they lent on it a lot. The same with the oranges.
The orange. Oh my god, the orange. Do you know what, Chris? Like, I flip flop sometimes because, like, as you said, like, you know what? At the end of the day, if Leah is Wheeler's daughter, I don't care. I hated Leah as a character. I didn't like many of the characters in this series, to be honest with you, because they're so unlikable. And I think that's the point. Most of the characters in this are so unlikable. The only character that I empathized with was Peter. He was the only character that I was like sitting there going, dude, I feel you. Like, Danvers is just like, kind of like, okay, hard bitten, but you could get a Philip Marlowe. She's like that kind of hard bitten detective that we see in everything, and I do like some of her dialogue and her, but even her backstory was. Did we actually really find out what happened to her son? Not really. It's inferred that, you know, they had a car accident and, you know, he died. I get that. But nothing's really... The resolution... All right, the only one last thing I'll say about that is, from the first series, because there's so much leaning on the first series, with Rust and Marty, they had an arc. Like, their characters had arcs. Like, they had, like, you know, we see this character there. I don't know if there's a 20-year difference or whatever it may be. These people are like, this happens within, what, 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Yeah.
The whole case is
weeks,
resolved within 2-3 weeks. And their arc isn't that great. Navarro, sure, okay. She's had some trauma in life with her mum, and then her sister dies and everything like this. Okay, I get that. And there were points where I was thinking, like, she's losing it. Like, she is losing it. And we saw that in the last episode, in the penultimate episode, when they went after Otis. And she was sitting there with blood coming out of her ears. And I think, once again, that was just a contrived plot of, like, is she losing it? Is she not? Is she seeing what she's seen? Is she not? Yeah. We'll let the viewer decide. Ambiguity. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, I don't know. But Leah, yeah, I hated her as a person. As a person, I hated her. She was just like, your mum's dealing with this massive homicide case. Cut her some slack. Don't go be doing graffiti on the mining town. Don't be getting involved in riots. Just help your mum. You know? Maybe, I don't know.
The speaks old man self.
I have no children, and I never will now because of this.
I got a lot, so I don't recommend it for you.
I have a really eating into my brain, I think, massive continuity error. I needed to rewatch episode 5 to check it out, and I didn't get a chance to. But in episode 5, Danvers is watching the screaming video, and she's watching the scientist's final moments, and in both of them she goes, there's a power cut. And yet, when they recapped the scientist murdering Annie Kay, all the lights were on.
And isn't she in completely different clothing as well? From the video.
She certainly had the jacket on in the video.
But when she's actually being killed, she's in, like, because she's got the kind of uniform of a cleaner or something, right? So, yeah, I saw that as well.
So yeah, that I think was a massive continuity error, because you've used this power cut as a major clue in discovering the fact that there's ice caves, and then you left the lights on when you actually recounted the murder. And then the other problem I have is I think they actually forgot about the tongue.
About the what?
I think that the tongue.
Let's talk about the tongue.
They put it there in the first episode, and then in the sixth
Yep.
episode, suddenly went, "Oh shit, we had a tongue, didn't we?"
We have to explain the
Fuck,
tongue.
how do we wrap this one up? Right, nobody knows how it got there. That'll do. It can be mystery.
So I looked it up. I looked that up too.
Hank.
Apparently, the writer in some interviews said that, I guess in her mind, she's kind of like, well, you decide. But in my mind, what could have happened was that the women who went back in, I guess when they found Annie's body, they cut out her tongue. Well, they went back in for revenge. They left the tongue there as like a full circle kind of thing where they left a mess. I don't know.
I seen another theory or another explanation for that, which was that because isn't it John Hawk's character Hank that moves the body? Doesn't he move Annie's body? That he cut it out as a warning to the other Inuit ladies, etc.
Yeah, but how did
how would they see?
Salah?
I don't know.
My only
years later, in perfect condition.
My only kind of thing with it, with that Clark was the one who, because he did love Annie Kay, for whatever bizarre reason, he kept her tongue. Because he was the only one that was in the research station. Remember when all the other scientists...
That's right. Yeah.
Well, that's something we got to talk about as well. The whole, the cleaning ladies... Are we just referring to them as the cleaning ladies? Yeah. But, okay, the cleaning ladies. When this made me laugh when they were like, we took them out and we put them in a van and we took their clothes off. And then she, not referring to Annie Kay, because I believe they're referring to a kind of Mother Nature or a Mother kind of Earth type character.
I think it was Sedna.
Yeah, because didn't we see it in a drawing that Dawkins did, Peter's son?
Yeah.
Earlier on. She goes, and if they wanted, if she allowed them to come back, they would. And it's like, okay, that's just killing 7 or 8 people, really, and just justifying it by that. Can we talk about that as well? Maybe not now, or if you want to, we can. But the whole fact of there was a mass killing. Nefarious means whatever. Okay, I get it. I understand why they did what they did. But then you have 2 police officers that come in. They cover it up. Okay, I get why they're doing it, because they've got to cover their own backs as well. What's the message here? What's the message in True Detective Dark Country? That you can just basically kill people, get away with it, don't matter,
It's this.
it's
if
fine.
you had a really good reason, it's okay.
Yeah.
Or if you're just slightly crazy, it's okay too.
Is this the point where we have to put a disclaimer up saying killing people is wrong and we do not advise it?
No reason is correct, please.
Yeah.
Well, they have it with tobacco and nudity and everything. Why not, you know?
Oh, boy.
How do you guys feel about doing a quick fire round of Steve's questions?
Yeah, I was going to say, let's go. That's what I was thinking as well.
Just
Have you got
really
something else?
quickly before we start that, there was during the interview at the end, Danver says, because I wrote it down because it's so dumb. The question isn't who killed Annie Kay, but who knows who killed her.
Didn't like that line.
Some questions just don't have answers.
Yeah, so dumb.
Conveniently.
What?
Like the goddamn orange. Like the goddamn orange.
I thought the orange question was answered. Yeah.
It was,
but
yeah.
The
Oh, you're right. Her mother used to like oranges.
And
so
how she
everything's
peeled.
fine now.
But there was also a segment that really bugged me as somebody who's written dialogue for films in the past. When they cut the power, somebody cut the power in the lab when they were staying at the lab because of the storm. That was some of the worst dialogue I ever saw in my life between Navarro and Danvers. She just kept repeating her name, and they kept repeating the same thing back and forth to each other, and it went on for 2 or 3 minutes, and I was just like, what is going on here? That the direction was bad, and it was during the whole time where Clark was finally going out and killing himself and like that, and it just kind of, I was like, this seems like filler when they don't have time for filler. They got to give us stuff, and it was just poorly done at that point. And I was like, because some of the dialogue in the show was actually pretty good at stages. There was some pretty neat lines going on in all these episodes we've been watching, and the delivery and the acting was great until that 5-minute segment that just really bugged me. I just had to get that off my chest.
All right, rapid fire session.
Okay. The polar bear. The polar bear. Not answered, but visions.
Oh, the polar bear.
Is it visions or
No polar bear.
like Danvers in Navarro visions? Danvers wasn't known.
Yeah,
to
well,
have-
her Danvers. Yeah, but hers was caused by trauma apparently. So, who knows? Who killed Annie? We got that.
Yeah.
We got who killed Annie, which was number 2. We did get that. 3. The mine and its conflict of interest. Got that.
I think that was kind of answered though.
Yeah, it
wasn't
was.
in
So
terms
the
of
fact that
the scientists, the mine,
they were falsifying
I'm good
their
with
numbers
that.
so that they would exploit the thing even more.
the permafrost.
The permafrost.
Can we please get some Can we get someone who has knowledge on this about the permafrost? I need to know about this.
Shit, those guys were
As
going
a
to cure
real thing.
Those guys were going to have cured cancer, but they hadn't heard about boiling water.
I think what they're trying to go for is the pollution lowers the freezing point.
Yeah.
Sorry, raises the freezing point,
Yeah.
and therefore softens the usually permanently frozen.
It was another one. You just have to accept it and go. Sure. There was a lot of that. Just go with it. Yeah. Number 4, the mind's connection to the Tuttles. I mean, in some way, I just wish they'd never brought it up. I mean, it was just it added nothing. It was just nothing.
Tenuous at best. There's nothing that the only thing that involves the Tuttles is that they're bankrolling the mines and the
Why bring it up? Steve put it very well. The whole point about the Tuttles was that they were controlling a very small region of southern states or otherwise, and that they wouldn't let anything leak out. I mean, anyway.
It was just nostalgic bait.
Now,
for
number
people in the
6
first series.
is actually the one question that I thought was sure never to be answered. Ooh. And that is the stolen SpongeBob toothbrush. What was ever going to be happening? Of all the things that they tied up and tidied up, we got the damn toothbrush back. Now, bear in mind, he's been 3 weeks without a toothbrush. I'm pretty sure he got another toothbrush in that time and place, but
he's going to have the gum disease known as gingivitis.
What with the pollution and he's fucked. She really took his toothbrush at the wrong time. That was not good for him. And it also strikes me that between the 5 of us we came up with about 4 or 5 much more satisfying ends to this show. Anyway, number 7.
I think there should be some like epic music being played when we play. He's like, "Where's my toothbrush?" There, na, 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 na.
Holding it up like the Lion King at the end.
Yeah.
Why Peter's wife kicked him out and her general unhappiness. Why is it in the story, and what does it add?
Plot convenience. That's what I was saying before. The only reason why I think personally that she has kicked him out is because of the fact that leads him to go to Danver's house. That's for him to be there when Hank turns up. There's no other reason.
Her flip-flopping him in the car, giving him a kiss and all that. I was like, oh, fuck off. Anyway, that was another one. Like,
where did that come from? Like, it was so out of character. It's like, I gotta do this thing. I gotta do the thing. And then when I get back, we'll be okay.
It ties in with the whole theory of killing things is okay. Oh, you killed someone. Okay.
Killing things is
now
okay.
it's okay.
That's right. I killed my dad. Okay.
And that leads me on to who is Rose in this town that she's just okay with some, like, does she know Peter? He's Navarro's told me to tell you to take me to where Julia. He's like, all right.
Well, yeah. I think it's inferred.
Right.
It's inferred that old Travis from episode 1, I think she buried Travis in exactly the same spot. I think all of that's where everybody's buried in the town, and everybody's bones. Rose takes care of it. She's the fixer.
Harvey Keitel. She's the cleaner.
Yeah, she's Harvey Keitel. That's exactly
So
right.
the
It's
one,
the Wolfman.
once again, this was a good part of writing where she was like, I need to cut the lungs so that will drown. It was like, interesting.
Yeah. Coming to a book near you.
There was a point Steve made earlier about how the wife was so hard on Peter to help screw up the investigation. Does that then suggest that Peter is the only competent policeman because he's the only one being directly sabotaged, and they just assume that Danvers and Navarro are going to self-sabotage themselves and get nowhere?
I think that's exactly what it says. Oh, and by the
Alex,
way...
you did think that Pete was the mastermind of everything.
I did, yeah. I was convinced
again, a better
that
ending.
he might be a mastermind.
Although, actually, the worst... There was two of the... Bear in mind, I accept actually a lot of what everybody's saying here as being kind of like, shut your eyes, kind of just go with it. The two worst parts of the whole thing for me were near the end. Leah and Danvers, what was that? Eating ice cream in the car, laughing together, was absolutely dreadful. And then the last scene with them, where now Navarro and Danvers are like sisters for life.
Well, no, that goes into... Was Navarro really there? Because you have the kind of the cut screen of the... Was she actually there? There's a whole thing now with like Navarro alive because you saw her walking off into the ice. And that's a question then. I don't know if that's on the thing.
Wasn't on the list.
Is Navarro alive? Is she dead? Who cares?
Number 8. What happened to Danvers' husband and son? But don't really know. Do we? They're dead. It's okay to kill people. We're back to
See,
that.
I would have... That's the thing. I would have preferred if we had more of a backstory to Danvers' character and to find out exactly what happened. It's inferred, yes, of course, that there's been some kind of car accident that the son and the husband has died. I get that. We all get that.
Yeah.
But it just would have been... I don't know if there was someone else, if Navarro was involved for some reason, or if there was... Or the Captain Ted. Where did fucking Captain Ted go?
That was a question I had, yep.
He just disappeared. He's not in this episode at all. I'm not even saying that he was going to be the big bad or anything, but he just disappeared. It was gone. It was like, hey, the scientists have died from this weather thing. Done. Bye. And it's like, he's gone. It's Christopher Eccleston. You can't just...
He got in the TARDIS, and he's gone to another planet that needs his help.
Episode 7.
Yeah.
This was actually
number 9 in our list of... Yeah. What happened to... why does Leah hate Danvers so much?
Well, possibly
I don't think
because...
she does. I think that's kind of one of the points. When she comes to your house for New Year's, just kind of showing that she doesn't hate her, I think. I don't know. I was, again, why'd she turn up at the door? That was a bit...
I think that's what's meant to be Danvers' emotional turmoil going throughout this whole series, but I don't know about you guys. I just thought, man, she's just trying, and her daughter is not giving her any leeway at all. And it was like, it just didn't resonate with me. I'm sorry, but like they're trying to create this kind of whole dynamic of, I'm the surrogate mother, I'm trying to protect you. And we do see her throughout the series trying to protect her daughter. And her daughter, every whim is throwing it back in her face. I thought there was going to be some kind of, at the very end, she was going to be in danger. Danvers was going to be there to protect her or something like that. Didn't really happen at all. She just kind of went, and as you said, Chris, like in the end, they're just going off to some holiday, eating sandwiches in the car and talking like nothing had happened.
Another contrived happy ending.
True.
I know.
Question number 10, Navaro's...
Need much reason.
Yeah. That is 100% true. Best friend to enemy within seconds. Navaro's childhood was question number 10. I mean, we did. Our mum likes oranges. Isn't that what we got?
Well, we got Navarro's Indigenous
name. That's right, we did.
Which I think, at the end of the day, for her journey, out of all the characters, the only person I think in this that had a good journey was Navarro. You know, she said early on, I think it was in episode 4, that when she was in the little fishing hut, and she said, like, my mother didn't give me her name, and I understand it. She's haunted by the fact that NEK was dead. I get that. And what's the name? It's The Return of the Sun After a Long Darkness, which is a bit on the nose, but okay, we'll go with it. Yeah, I think, out of all the characters, she probably had the most progressive arc as a character. You know, she lost her sister. The only reason why she was there, the whole thing about her, she's mentioned before that she would rather leave. She has the connection with the people of the city or the town, sorry, and effectively she leaves at the end, or not. Ambiguous. Ooh, decide what you will. But yeah, no, I thought that was okay. I thought that was all right.
The next time I'm going to flip-flop around. Why did the people in the town see dead people? Which is just vaguely said there's contaminants in the water. Don't say what the contaminants are, but that's that. And why do people point, and what does it mean?
I don't feel we got an answer to that. No. Really.
I've got a theory.
Well, theory's good,
Go for it,
but
go for
I don't
it.
think we have a concrete answer. But go
Go for it.
yeah.
They're all
I
theories.
think it's
pretty much.
a manifestation of Navarro's guilt for shooting Wheeler. Because the first time you see it is the ghost of Wheeler's girlfriend.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll go for that.
I'll go for that
Because we
too.
see, like, there are points in this where you think Navarro's at breaking point, right?
Yeah.
Like, in the last episode, she looks... I mean, I don't know if that was as the actress doing good acting, or if it was just the kind of case, but she looked like... I don't know if that was the kind of, once again, the ambiguity of, is she seeing these things? Is she about to break? There was one part of this episode that I actually want to attribute to John Carpenter, like The Thing. I don't know if you guys saw it. Maybe it was just me. But when Clark goes out and is frozen in the ice...
Yes.
And then Clark comes out and Navarro comes out. There's a picture of, like, she's got like a flashlight on her head, and the camera pans just at the right moment that it looks like the old Thing picture. I don't know if that was just me in my head because I love John Carpenter's The Thing so much that I picked it out, but it looked really like the poster for The Thing, and I was like, then I was thinking, oh, is Navarro actually going to turn against Navarro? And I thought, oh, that might be something there, but ultimately it didn't happen.
I think a lot of this is like, even the corpsicle is very, very John Carpenter the whole way through. Like, I think they based a lot of the supernatural stuff on The Thing and John Carpenter.
In general, I thought the
right,
camera work was very good throughout the whole show, and a lot of great shots, a lot of technically the show was good.
Is Rose real? The answer is yes. Sadly, I thought that would have been epic if she wasn't real. That would have been so good. But she was real. Oh well.
You were gunning for it so hard, Chris. I'm almost sad that it didn't come out the way you wanted it to.
I got my hats instead. You know, it was the hats are Rose, and to be honest, I hope we get a toy replica or a Lego set with the hats from True Detective Night Country. I'm down for that. That's cool. I'll build that shit. What's the deal with Hank being catfished?
Plot device. They needed
Plot
to
device.
unhinge
He
him.
needed money. Yeah.
They needed him unhinged enough to shoot Otis, and he needed money.
Money. Yeah.
So plot device.
And I also think it tried to make you empathise with him as well a little bit. I think as well.
Yeah.
Which
You felt bad for him.
those pedals on the bed. Oh come on! Oh come on!
The sweet, sweet voice.
The
Sweet singing voice that we'll never hear again.
stewardess
Apparently,
misdirection.
they all lived together for 7 months in Iceland doing this, and John Hawkes would regularly go to the bar and play for everybody. That was a thing that was that they all really enjoyed. But to be honest, more of that in the show would have been great. That, in all truthfulness, that might have been the entire highlight of the entire series. Was John Hawkes' guitar and playing and singing. It was real good.
It was good.
What is in the ice that the scientist found? I think whalebone is pretty much the answer for that one.
Maybe.
It doesn't explicitly say it, but bones. What happened to Otis, and whose footprints were in the dredge when they found him? Didn't go near any of that.
I think they were Clark's footprints.
I think they were probably Clark's. I think you're right there. I can't think who else it could have been. But Otis was in the back of a car for most of this episode, so can't really do much with that. What happened to Wheeler? And if he didn't abuse the woman, who did? Well, we never found out who abused the woman. Wheeler, we did find out what happened to him.
Very season 1-esque.
Yeah, I
yeah.
was about to say. Very season 1-esque.
What's the deal with the oranges appearing? We've got that sort of... Yes. Is the water contaminated? That's
Yes.
big. The big yes, we got to that one. Why did the animals jump off the cliff in episode 1? Animals are
Contamination. Yes.
dumb.
Yeah, water contamination.
Water
again.
contamination.
The other side.
Oh dear, that might be the tagline for the next episode of Why Did This Happen? To reach the other side.
was
Why
just
was
thinking-
Navarro's ear bleeding in the dredge? I think contamination is the answer to that one.
I'm just thinking the amount of times we've said water contamination, it's beginning to sound
I
a
knew
bit
this.
like an
I knew this
episode
would be a
of the-
thing. Yeah.
bit
We're
like
going to
an
be picked up
episode
with
of
some
The
algorithm.
Simpsons.
Yeah.
A wizard did it.
Why did
But what
Jack
about
or
a wizard
Jack
did it?
disappear after Navarro and Danvers found him in his hut? Didn't get that at all.
Say again, sorry, Chris.
Oliver Tudak or whatever his name was.
Two Jack.
Oh, the
Something like that.
Tudak. Or,
the maintenance guy
yeah.
Yeah.
who worked at
disappeared.
Salal.
Remember he disappeared and
he
his
just-
thing was left
Once
there.
again, there's a few characters that just disappear
Yeah.
and they're like there just to leave a plot element for the characters to get from A to B to C, and it's like
Our next couple of questions.
and that's another thing as well, because they had this whole thing with the stone, right? With the stone with the spiral.
Yes.
And we know already that the guy who met Navarro in the shop was like, oh, my grandmother used to tell us that these were placed down on the snow to kind of like as way markers to tell people to stay away from the snow and everything. Okay. So the spiral is like a danger thing, right? It's like a warning. And yet the cleaning ladies, she's the one who puts it. Once again, I think this was like a last minute addition. One of the clean ladies puts the spiral on the guy's face, one of the scientists' foreheads, when he goes out and they kill themselves. Or, sorry, when they kill themselves. Quotation marks. So is she putting a warning on his foreheads? Or is it just like, hey, this is a thing now. The spiral thing is a thing.
It's a thing.
We're just going to put it on
It's a
and say,
thing.
hey... that didn't ring true for me.
It
Steve,
just-
yeah, I can see.
It just means True Detective Series
Just like those
5
hand in his heads.
will definitely have spirals. That's what you can guarantee. True Detective Series 5, whatever it's called or whatever it's set, it's going to have spirals.
No, I think there's going to be so much, not backlash as such, because let's be honest, this series, and let's give it credit for, and I want to give it credit as well, because there has been some good writing. As Jared, as you were saying, there's some great cinematography going on in this series, and I think we have to kind of we can nitpick all we like, and I think at the end of the day, there's been this was, in my opinion, one of those kind of really wildly criminal thriller type programs that have so many red herrings and so many fake things thrown in to put us as the audience off the scent of what's going on. Really, at its heart, this was about a bunch of scientists that got killed in the ice, and that was linked to a former death that happened 7 years ago. And what, as Steve, in my opinion, rightfully said, it should have just been that. It should have just focused on the thriller element. And there's been enough thriller episodes or series that we've seen in the past that could have just focused on that. It could have leaned slightly into the supernatural. It could, like, Navarro's character could have been so good at like seeing things and are they visions, are they this, are they that we're questioning ourselves, but they lean too much into the first series with the spiral stuff that we're now seeing it with rose-tinted glasses, but it does create a great water cooler moment that we're all sitting here talking about it and going, oh, this, that, and the other. We've got these theories. What's that theory? What's that theory? Has the fact that we're coming up with too many theories superseded the fact of the series itself? That's what I mean.
Well said.
Yeah, that's completely my point. This show, or this series of the show, was not conducive to episode by episode analysis. It was almost its biggest problem in a lot of ways. However, outside of the people that have been doing that, like the Reddit threads are absolutely on fire about True Detective. They do. Outside of all those people, this is really well received. This is really highly rated. A lot of people like this show. There will definitely be a series 5. That's absolutely sure. That finale is one of the highest rated ones that they've been.
Steve's shaking his head.
I know.
Steve's shaking his head.
It's hilarious.
I think the advice for next time is just binge watch the 6 episodes in one sitting, and it'll probably be a lot better. We'll finish off these last couple of questions. Talking about people that went missing, what is Captain Connolly up to, and is he covering something up? And alongside that, why did Kate McKettrick pay Hank to move Annie's body? I think they're both linked.
This is another thing that makes zero sense. If Kate McKettrick from the mine knew that the scientist killed Annie, why would she pay Hank to move the body to a place where she would be found and not just put her in the ice somewhere or get rid of her or cremate her or do something? If they're this powerful corporation with all these resources, why put her somewhere where her body will be found and it would be investigated? To send a message? Is that what it was? I mean, you run the risk of them finding out what happened to her. I don't get it. It makes no sense.
No, completely agree with that.
Yeah.
They didn't know Rose. Rose's secret hiding spot, they didn't know.
Why didn't they go to Rose?
She's a real cleaning lady. And
she's the real cleaner. Yep, that's
and
right.
when they went and ambushed the scientists, none of them used gloves. You guys notice that? None of them wore gloves. They touched everything. And they were touching their clothes as they were making the scientists take their clothes off. They were touching all their clothes with no gloves. So if they ever ran fingerprints, they'd find all these people's fingerprints all over the clothes. And why did Julie do the same thing? She took all of her clothes off and she piled them in a nice little pile. Yeah. That was all just to make you think that there was some other force at play.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes zero sense.
You just reminded me of another potential plot hole. Do you remember when the Corpsicle was brought into the ice rink and Danvers got the vet come in and the vet said, oh, these guys died before they were in the ice.
What killed them?
But now we know that wasn't the case.
That's right.
So
Yeah, I thought about that one. I thought about that one going,
Oh, man, that's right. I didn't even think about that. Wow.
yeah.
was that just like a blatant plot hole, or
I don't know.
are they going to sort of just say ambiguity? Maybe they ran out into the ice and died of something else before they died of. Yeah,
I do think it's a good point that the cleaning ladies weren't wearing gloves, though. I think that's. I think there should be industrial investigation about that.
More to the point, it's something like minus 30 degrees centigrade out there. Your hands would freeze to the gun because the gun's made of metal.
Well,
You wouldn't be able to pull the trigger.
that's one thing I noticed. A lot of these people seem to be fairly immune to the cold in this town. They fall through the ice, they land, they go ow, and they get back up and keep going. They fall into the water, and they spend a night in a unheated lab, and I warm you up a little bit, you're okay. No hypothermia or anything like that. So these people are really hardy. They can handle a gun in the cold.
Definitely. The last couple I'll rattle through because we've been talking about them a little bit. The significance of the spirals, other than a callback to season 1, we talked about that week. Who cut the power at the Santa station? We did get that one in terms of at the time of the murder, or whatever we want to speak. Who is she that they keep referring to when they say she's awake? We got that one. That's Clark. Thinking that Annie's the one responsible for all the shenanigans, that she is somehow entombed in the ice, or that her spirit or her soul's there.
And then the cleaning ladies suggested it was someone else who was awake and Annie was her child.
Yeah, I think they're referring to some folk legend.
I think it's based on the picture of the person with their fingers being chopped off, and the analogy of the lady who had 2 digits missing.
Yeah.
I think it's probably Sedna, who was an Inuit water god.
Yeah.
Goddess, sorry.
Yeah. And what the hell happened to the scientists? Well, we found out what happened to the scientists.
Well,
I don't like it, but
I just, even if there was 2 more episodes right after this, I think the whole thing could have been done a lot. The pacing could have been done a lot better in respect of setting up characters, getting to know different characters, and even with 2 more episodes, it just would have been a filling. It would have been padding. It would be filling. I'm still the thing is, I saw it 2 days ago. I'm still sort of digesting everything that I've seen. I don't know how you guys are feeling about that, but I'm kind of feeling that they leaned too hard into the supernatural element and it didn't pay off. And now, I can't remember if it was you, Chris, or Steve, that you said about the writer said, like, well, this because of this, and now they can just go like, because of this spirit or that spirit, or they can now palm off certain ambiguity elements because of a particular spirit or something. You know, when you watch a film like that, one of the inspirations for this obviously was The Thing, right? At the end of that, when Charles McCready at the end, that's ambiguity, baby. That's, you don't know who the thing is. The film ends. You don't know. It's up to the audience to decide.
But there's only 2 people left. Like, that's the whole point.
It.
Like, at that point,
that's it.
You know,
is one of them the thing, or both? You know, you don't know. And still to this day, that was made like what, 35, 40 years ago. Still, people are debating that.
But
this will be.
What I'll say is, see, at the time, Tony, people hated The Thing. People hated The Thing with a passion. Came out the same day as E.T. and every absolutely.
So are you saying
bombed.
This True Detective Series 4 is the thing of our day and age?
I'm not sure I'm quite saying that, but I'm just saying this kind of idea that it sits with you for a while, maybe, and people go back to it and then find explanations. The problem is, I don't think that's going to happen with us. It's only going to get worse.
See, the thing is, spiritual, the supernatural and detective, problem here, that doesn't bother me as much as the plot holes you guys just pointed out in this whole thing.
Yeah,
the plot holes really bug me. That's because that's just when the story itself doesn't make sense because it's not coming together in a logical progression. That's a problem. If they made the supernatural in the detective work a part of this better part of the story, so that it was a little bit ambiguous, then that's okay if that was their intent. But those plot holes just tear it all apart, and you can't put it back together.
Yeah. One question left then. What is the Night Country?
Don't know.
I have to say, I thought that was sort of self-explanatory insofar as that it's a place where they just go into darkness for months on end or weeks on end, whatever way they want to put it. And it is,
just
it's just a local name for that area.
Yeah, that has a lot of night.
But
I'm just still annoyed about the tongue.
Yeah, plot hole. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just completely left the tongue completely unanswered. Nobody knows.
Do you think that was a reshoot part then, when Danvers is like, when she's cutting the orange and it falls on the floor, and where the tongue was, there seems to be like a kind of weird isolated. There's a footprint or something, or there's like a foot thing where the tongue was.
Tongue print.
The tongue print.
Did you guys see that? Like a tongue print? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think that was the only reason why I say it was like a reshoot was because of the fact that you see her. I don't know. You see her go down. and she's like, that's where the tongue was it was under the desk, and then there's like a moment of there's like this weird icicle toe print thing going on, and she's like, I don't know what that meant. I was like, was that meant to resolve things for us or not? I don't know.
At this point, I would accept the fact that that was bear bile, and what happened was the bear crept into the lab, threw up the tongue, and then crept out again.
I like it.
You should be a writer on that country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they would have showed us that, I would have been so satisfied.
Oh God. Oh God.
They would have tied the bear into the story properly. And
Just so many subplots that just didn't need to be there. Why have
Yeah.
Peter kill Hank?
Yeah,
Cool moment.
that was.
Why?
What is blood is blood? Like what was his like blood is blood? What was his final parting words? What did that mean? And let's be honest, Danvers and Navarro leave him to clean up the mess and then go to some random person he doesn't know to be like disposing of some bodies. And then Rose is like, now kid, that's not the hard part. You know, you just dunked your dead dad in the fucking river. That's not the hard part. The hard part is when you'll see their spiritual forms come back and see you in the other realm.
Oh my God.
Come on, man. I mean, I love Rose. She was a tertiary character, and she was one of those kind of characters in this whole series that was like, yeah, she's there for Navarro. She's there to lean on. She's there to give her witticisms and her mysticism stuff. You know, great, fantastic. But really, oh God, there's so many characters in this that didn't offer anything but either exposition dumps or some witticisms about life and morality or philosophical moments of mumbo jumbo.
at some point, Rose is going to become so popular that she'll wake up in the morning and she'll, right, who's here to dispose of a body then? Okay, one pickaxe each, you go and dig your own holes. I'll be along in a minute to inspect them. Who's here for spiritual guidance?
I will be honest, I would watch a whole series of just Rose out and NS like doing her own thing. That would be great. I think that'd be fantastic. I love her, but also in this particular series, you know,
A garden
Rose
shows
acting
of
like-
Knows how to collapse some lungs.
Paranormal pacifier.
yeah. She can skin a wolf. I want to shack up with Rose. On Christmas Eve, she's got all the
layout,
food
yeah.
out. She's got everything laid out. She knows how to skin a wolf.
I believe you can do it.
She can see dead people.
It doesn't look like there's a lot of visitors. I think the spot's open there. I just the next TV series will be Rose, how to keep a beautiful garden. You know, and you know that pot over there. What I'm talking about.
Wow.
Just don't
I'll get
piss
my
her off.
wellies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hit up in the ice.
Oh dear.
A lot of things that just didn't make sense. Just didn't need to be there. The whole catfishing thing, I guess, it humanized him. The Connolly thing, the romance they had, Danvers and he had, okay, I guess. Kayla and Peter's marriage, fine. Leah hating Danvers for some reason because she's a teenager, I guess. Okay. I guess, is Navarro dead? She seems like she's dead to me because she talks about just walking out and leaving it all behind. So it kind of seemed to me like she was dead, and that was her spirit at the end because she was wearing the same clothes, right? That she was wearing when she walked out to the ice. I think that's another. Oh, it's ambiguous. You're just out on your own.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think they
kinda
made that purposely ambiguous, but you can either like the fact that Danvers comes and in her house, like her bedding, all her beddings is gone, just a polar bear on the mattress kind of thing. We see her walk out like Julia did, sort of thing, into the ice, but she's walking with purpose rather than that kind of stuff. At that point, there's already been inklings on the interwebs of a Navarro spin-off, and I'm like, no,
they'll not be.
not that interested.
They'll
Well,
not
we
do
will find
spin-offs.
out for certain when we have True Detective, the final series, where all the True Detectives join together
Come
to take
together.
down the evil Tuttle Corporation.
I did laugh at the Reddit
Love
post where they put up the pictures of like Vince Vaughn, Colin Farrell, Marashi, Shala Ali, etc. And they said all is forgiven, guys. We were too harsh.
I thought she was okay. I thought she was fine. She's a new, I thought she did okay.
First time role, yeah.
Yeah, she did okay.
Oh no, she was perfectly fine as like the character she portrayed. What, like, when she needed to bring it, she brought it. When she needed to be broken, she did that. That was no problem for me. It was more the kind of case of, in her head, like, once again, the audience perceiving what she's seeing, like the guy, the scientist guy that stands up. Is it just there for a plot element to be like, ooh, spooky stuff going on? Is it stuff that she's seeing? She has this bond or connection with, obviously, like Annie Kay and her sister and her mother in that respect. So maybe she's walking on that spiritual realm. I get that. I understand that. But also at the same time, it's just, I would have preferred if either we knew she died or she didn't in that respect, because at the end of it, you have this one scene where, Danvers goes on her porch, she sits down, there's a very line divide of the house, and then Navarro standing there. They're not talking to each other. Is she dead? Is she not? Who knows? It's like, do we care, to be honest, at this point? There's so much ambiguity that's been thrown out at this point. It's like the last episode gave so many. It was such an exposition dump that I think it maybe overwhelmed us with certain things, but also at the same time didn't explain a lot of things, or didn't explain them in a way that we wanted them to. I know that's a bit fanboy-y to say, and that's a little bit like, but once again, the tongue. There's a lot of plot holes in this series that weren't answered, and I can't abide the whole, it's spiritualism, it's maybe the ghost or this or that will answer it. The polar bears, what was happening, the one-eyed thing that was going on. Yeah, it's just a little bit.
I did check to see if there was any blood on the SpongeBob toothbrush. There wasn't. It looked like it had been clean, unused.
And is Navarro pregnant? Because she tries to get pregnant, right? First episode.
Yeah. They
Why
never
was that
explored
there?
that. Yeah.
What did that? Nothing. And I love when they
Well,
find.
I think this goes.
Go ahead,
Sorry, go ahead, Steve. No, I was just going to say that oranges, obviously, like, in The Godfather, oranges are always seen as like a symbol of someone's about to die. Yeah. And in this series, when an orange comes up or rolls out underneath the bed or in the snow, something weird's going to happen. But it's also, in past, has been a symbol of fertility. So there's also that element to it as well. So once again, you can take it from this way, you can take it from that way, I think. I don't know.
I do love when they find the caves and they fall through the ice, and they just happen to find Clark there, like hanging out with his blanket. They finally find him, and what's their first thing? Let's torture him and let's kill him. Like, okay, what?
That does raise another question, because at the end, Danvers was watching that video of Clark giving the confession.
Yes.
When the hell did Navarro have time to film that?
Well, I think
He wasn't bloody.
I think Danvers went to take a nap or something
There
like that.
There was a time plot where Danvers went to have a nap, and that was the whole point, where she goes for a nap, and then she's obviously got this video, but then Clark kills himself. It's like, what happened there? We don't know the time that's elapsed. It could have been a couple of hours, it could have been like 10 hours, whatever, but like literally she wakes up and it's, oh no, Clark's out, he's killed himself. How'd you let him kill himself? And isn't there a whole point as well when she's like, oh, I wanted to do the same thing as well, I wanted to kill him, but we need to question him. And that was a bit jarring for me, to be honest with you, because it's like, you found the guy that we've been trying to find throughout the whole series, and you have found him now, and you just torture him. What is going on, Dad? What is going on?
No, of course. Are you going to stop me from killing him? No, I'm going to leave the room now and leave you to it. Oh, you didn't kill him. That's good. What do you mean you let him go and he's killed himself? How dare you?
Yeah.
So, hang on. Make your mind up.
Oh,
Yep.
dear.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. Sorry, I trying to be not to be a Debbie Downer, but holy cow, this is bad.
But you didn't
Just like-
succeed.
No. Just don't.
Steve, usually you're our paragon of like optimism and and
I don't know.
no.
I don't know. It just really odd choices that they made. I don't get it. A lot of
Your body was going into
ambiguous
sympathy
stuff.
all week. You had a cold
Okay.
the past week as well. You know, it's all like preparing yourself to be in the headspace to get
You're
through.
in the night country now, Steve.
Yeah.
So, all right, here's the one question that I will, my last question I will give to you guys is then, if you were the front runner of this, you were the director, producer, whatever, how would you have done this series? Would you have done it like forget all the paranormal elements and just concentrate on a kind of thriller-esque noir? Would you have done something different? Like, what would be your take on it?
I really like the supernatural elements. I genuinely thought
Yeah.
making this a
So,
horror
yeah.
show, mainline horror thriller, we don't get any of those in mainstream TV. Like people do not watch those. That's another thing. I didn't mind that element of it at all. I think they should have made some choices a bit earlier rather than the big problem was they left everything to the last episode and a half, like literally everything to the last episode and a half. If it either had been longer or they started addressing some of the questions a bit earlier on from episode 3, like we spoke about at the time, episode 3 felt pivotal in the show in terms of let's give us something here that we can then start to move on and build off from that, and we didn't. We just got more questions in 3, we got more questions in 4, and we got more questions this top half of 5. I think if they had started to address it a bit earlier, I think we could have gotten somewhere with it.
I mean, my whole thing was, if you're gonna put a tongue on the floor in the first episode, have a reason for it. They didn't really explain that. So that the plot holes are the main thing, and don't bring in characters to have them disappear. Have the characters be there for a reason. When you're introducing your town in the beginning, in the first couple of episodes, narrow it down so that you have a manageable cast, and that way you can tie things together better when it comes time for the reveals and stuff like that. The supernatural stuff didn't bother me at all. I kind of wish they just would have tied it together better instead of having Navarro on her. Like, the Navarro was the main supernatural vision quest person here, and that's fine. But then you had Danvers seeing a polar bear, and it's like, well, wait a minute, who's the supernatural vision quest person? And then they spread it out, and and it was fine that her sister was having these things, because they're related and all that stuff, and that's okay. And her sister dying the way she did, explore the ramifications of that, and explore the ramifications, and give us Danvers's history with her husband and her son, and give us a little bit of Navarro's backstory, instead of just relying on an orange vision in a one-liner about peeling oranges. So there was a lot of character work that was missing from this season, that was dropped on the floor to throw in a bunch of other characters to do tertiary things that explain the murders. And I just love the setting so much. It was disappointing that it came to this with plot hole city here. It really, because I really love the setting, and I love the lab in the cold, trying to search for something and everything going wrong. I love that. aspect of it, and I wanted, like I said, the directing, the cinematography was so fantastic. I wanted that to work with a good story.
Yeah.
What about you, Alex?
I liked the supernatural side of things, but if you're going to have supernatural stuff happening in a thing where all the answers are going to be set in the material world, you need to answer the questions posed by the supernatural stuff. You can't just leave it hanging as this could be a spooky supernatural thing, because it's not, because the rest of the answers are in the real world. So answer the questions in the real world. Use the supernatural as a metaphor for what's going on, not as just a way to pass off an inability to answer all the questions.
Yeah. And you had this perfect setup for these scientists to run into the supernatural by doing something they might not have shouldn't be doing, or something like that. Yeah, I agree.
Fortitude does it better. In the end of the first series, Fortitude nails that shit pretty well.
Yeah.
Not to watch Fortitude.
Fortitude's a trip.
Fortitude is mental.
Well, it was a fun season. I think for all the things that upset me over the last episode or so, I think it managed to lead to some fun conversations and fun theories, and give us an excuse to hang out for a few weeks. So call that a win.
I would say overall I enjoyed watching it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm the same.
Yeah.
Enjoyed watching it. I love picking apart things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of modern TV script, especially when they're trying to outdo the last thing that's come along, it has to be more convoluted, it has to be more thing. It doesn't stand up to the level of scrutiny that the internet will give things.
Have we become so desensitized to things that we know what's coming around the corner so much that you have to expect the curveball from the curveball? You know what I mean?
This is five cranky old men. This was always doomed to end only in one way.
Is that going to be our touring name?
The curse of the critic.
I really wanted to like it.
I like five cranky old men.
Really
I
wanted
that.
to like it.
I think that's a good.
Yeah, I did too.
Let's take this show on the road. Five cranky old men. World trip.
I think the first episode was marvelous. I think everything from that first episode was trying to build on the first episode, and if they just made it, forget the supernatural elements. They could have still had supernatural elements involved, but if they had just focused more on who are these scientists, what are they doing, la la la, and each episode was more about discovering like a little bit from that, and then you had the mining company come into it, and there was this political, social, economical thing going on. Great, fantastic, love that. If that had just been a bit more the focus of what we were seeing, rather than oranges under the beds and stuff like that, then I think this would have been excellent. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed it, but yeah, there was like a bit on the fence of certain things and a lot of plot holes.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, like Clark comes out to get food and to watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off and just like replays it again. It's
not the only thing from that era either. The music, everything, like they just like 80s stuff, seems. That's it.
I think that's just baiting people like us that look too much into things, and then they're going to put too many theories into too many things, and it works. We're the living proof of it. It works, but also at the same time, if it doesn't pay off, like as you said, Steve, like the Ferris Bueller song at the end, like what did Clark in his manic I mean, we know he's like manic by that time. Why would he think, oh, I'm going to put on this song just to fuck with her? Come on. Like, really? Okay.
No. But anyway, so that was fun. Well, to figure out what we're going to watch next. So, yeah. So in the meantime, Jared, where can people find
You
you?
can find me at the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel, and you can find me on the Page Chewing forums at pagechewing.com.
Yes. And Alex, one of our resident writers, authors.
You can find me on Page Chewing or Twitter or Blue Sky. Apparently, I've even got a Threads account, which I'd completely forgotten about.
Yeah, I have one of those too.
Oh, nice. And Chris.
Yeah, my name's Chris Moen. You can find me on my YouTube channel, which is just my name. I'm starting a petition for Tony and Alex to be the two-handed writing team for Series 5 of True Detectives, The Yorkshire Dales.
Where do I sign? And Anthony.
My pitch will be an apple.
Yes.
And the apple is nicely curved into a spiral type shape. That's where we start. No, my name's Anthony Self. I have a YouTube channel called Horrible, and you can find me on the Page Chewing forums as well.
Nice.
Do you know if you peel an apple, it comes out as a spiral?
It's amazing.
Season
And
5.
a potato. Actually, a potato set in Ireland. Shit writes itself.
Here we go. Here we go. We've got the writing team right here.
This is too easy.
Oh man, they're listening. Yeah, here we go. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks for listening, coming on the season, the journey of the whole season with us, and we'll catch everyone soon.